Welcome, my pretties. Hold on a second. Salem, watch the table for me, dear. Let's see. All of that. No. Unfiltered poison? No. Oh, Salem, what happened to you? Ah, yes. Witch's brew, my fountain of youth. Bottoms up. Whew, there we go. Much better. Hello, my friends. So, I see you're here to have your fortune told. Let me turn this thing on. Is this thing working? Come on. There we go. Let's see. I see for you grave danger. Wait, what? You're not here to have your fortune told? You're here for the Halloween reading challenge? Oh, okay. We don't need you anymore, Crystal Ball. Hello everybody, my name is Elena and welcome to the Pumpkin Pages. So today is the beginning of the Pumpkin Pages 2024 Halloween Reading Challenge. This week being Witch Week. So I've got some book recommendations ready for kids, middle grade, YA, adult, and I do have a few classics and nonfiction for those who don't really feel like reading fiction right now. After the book recommendations, I also will include a list of witchy activities that you can do together with your kids or alone. I also have some recommendations for books. I also have some recommendations for movies and TV shows. Though you guys have probably heard of them, but anyways, here we go. Firstly we have is The Prince and the Witch and the Thief and the Bears by Alistair Chisholm. Next we have is Happy Halloween, Witch's Cat by Harriet Muncaster. I honestly got this because it had a cat, but here we have Ghost Cat by Eve Bunting. So I won't go into a whole lot of details about what the children's books are about. I guess they're pretty self-explanatory. But the first book we have here is Room on the Broom by Julia Donaldson. The next book we have here is Stregonona's Harvest by Tommy DePaola. Next I have A Halloween Scare in Cincinnati by Eric James. Though I believe they have written Halloween stories based on your city if you look online. But yeah, I found this at a thrift store, so yeah, be sure to check those out. Again, it is written by Eric James. Next would be The Teeny Tiny Woman, retold by Jane O'Connor. Now we have The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything by Linda Williams. So this book doesn't really have a witch in it, but it does say Hocus Pocus, it's fall. And it's got the cutest little fall illustrations in there, so I thought I should include it in the list. It is by Sibley O'Brien. Right here is called Happy Halloween, Things to Make and Do. This is actually a Halloween craft book. Written by Robin Sopraner, and the press is called Troll Associates. It's got these cute illustrations and just basically how to make different crafts with your kids. I love that it has all these vintage looking illustrations on there. But yeah, be sure to check that out if that's something you and your kiddos are interested in. Next we have is one of my favorites. It's not exactly a witch, but it is A Scary Godmother by Jill Thompson. Words cannot explain how beautiful this book is illustrated. So this is more like a comic. I mean, look at that. This is about a little girl who's afraid of Halloween. And while she was trick-or-treating, her cousin tricked her into going into a haunted house. And they abandoned her by herself. And as she was crying, asking for help, she gets greeted by the scary godmother, who is there to show her how to have fun on Halloween. She also introduces her other lovely friends. But yeah, here are a few more illustrations. And I can't get over how beautiful it is. And lastly, for the children's category, we have none other than Hocus Pocus, illustrated by Chris Grimley. Who has not heard about the iconic Hocus Pocus? What a better way to sit down and read with your kids an illustrated version of the movie. And the illustrations are so neat. So that is it for my children's book recommendation. Now on to middle grade. Now on to middle grade, and the first book I have here is of course another Hocus Pocus book and the all-new sequel. This is a pretty chunky book, so it's definitely more for middle grade. Next I have is none other than Kiki's Delivery Service by Eiko Kadono, and I also wanted to show you guys. I also picked up the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and look at these sprayed edges. I believe they both have the same illustrations, but still, I don't think you could have too many copies of Kiki's Delivery Service. So for those who loved Kiki's Delivery Service, it is the book that inspired the Studio Ghibli movie. So I have personally never read this one. I know I need to, and really what excuse do I have because it's so short, but this had to be added to the middle grade book suggestions. Next we have here is The Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega. This book is about a young witchling named Seven who lives in a magical town called Ravenscale. Before the witchlings are placed into covens, they have to participate in a black moon ceremony. And Seven worked really hard to be part of a certain house with good reputation. They get placed based on how powerful their magic is. Unfortunately, she didn't get placed in any of the covens. She got placed as a spare. So Seven and two other girls are placed as a spare, and apparently when they try to create a magic circle to seal their coven, it didn't work. So in order to prove themselves worthy and to make sure they don't lose their magic powers, they decide to defeat the Night Beast. If they do not complete this task, they will all become toads. Forever. Next we have here is Eva Green, the Semi-Magical Witch by Julie Abe. So I'm sure some of you have already heard about Eva Evergreen. This is a lot like Kiki's Delivery Service, basically a young witch trying to prove herself and gain all her magic powers. Like the witchlings, she only has half a power of a witch. So she moves into a town to try to help them with her magical abilities. So will she be able to pull it off when they expect a full powerful witch? Who knows? Speaking of other clumsy witches, here we have The Worst Witch by Jill Murphy. Mildred seems to get all her spells wrong. So far, she seems to be getting by until the teacher's pet ends up becoming her worst enemy. Next, we have the one, the only, A Tale About Baba Yaga, The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. So this is about a 12-year-old girl who lives with the Baba Yaga. So she grew up on this house of chicken legs. So her and Baba Yaga have this important task of helping souls reach the afterlife. But she gets restless, she's bored, and quite frankly, she just wants a friend. So one day she decides to break the rules and leave the house of chicken legs. What will be the consequences? Now we have The October Witches by Jennifer Clayson. I honestly picked this up because of the beautiful cover. I mean, look at that. I mean, just in the synopsis, it says, "There's so much to love about October. Halloween, pumpkin, everything, and magic. Especially magic." So, Clemmy is a 12-year-old witch, and for the first time, she will get to experience magic. She experiences magic for the first time. It brings in a whole lot of chaos, especially when it comes to her family of witches. But apparently there are others who want to also take that power. Clemmy and her coven find themselves in mortal danger. So, is magic worth paying the price? I admit I completely picked this up from the library because of the cover, but look at this! It's so cute! It looks just like Salem! This is called Nimbus by Jen Eldridge. So this book is about Nimbus, and Nimbus was actually a sickly cat until she was found by a little boy named Fletcher. He nursed her back to health, and they ended up becoming the best of friends. Until one day, his aunt brought in a mysterious jar that apparently had a demon in it. So things ended up going wrong, and the aunt ended up blaming Nimbus for it. So she kicks him out and dumps him out in the street. Then Nimbus gets adopted by a lovely witch and her motley crew, her cats. It's out that when he fought this demon, he received some magical abilities, and now the witch is going to teach him how to master those abilities so he can return to his previous owner, Fletcher. That just sounds like a cozy, beautiful witch read. Lastly, for middle grade, we have a graphic novel, Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Witch's Wings and Other Terrifying Tales by Taylor K. Mejia. So, as you guys have guessed, this is about the TV series Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I honestly don't even know what this is about, but hey, it had to do about something with witches, so be sure to check that out too if you guys are interested. Are you guys still with me? Cool. Now to the YA. So I have just a few books for YA. Starting with one of my favorites, The Wicked Deep by Shia Ershaw. So this book is definitely one of my top favorite witchy books. So this isn't based around Halloween time, but it is based in the summer. But this is a story about three sisters who were accused of witchcraft. This resulted in them being tied by their ankles and dropped into the ocean to drown. 3 years later, there's a curse in the town that killed the sisters. Every year, around the time they were killed, they, I guess, possess the bodies of the girls. Like 3 girls get selected. And within a week, they each drown a boy. So, in this book, and this follows a girl named Penny. Penny just seemed to accept the fate of the town just like everybody else until a stranger named Bo drops by and she starts to develop feelings for him. And could he be in danger? Read this book and see what happens. Next we have here is The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall by Anna Bright. I mean, look at those stunning autumnal colors. I honestly don't know much about this book, it's a story about a kingdom and two princes who end up becoming rivals because their father wants them to, I guess, wants them to capture magic or something like that, and one prince hates magic and the other one is afraid of it. And together, I guess, they meet a witch, and I guess there is a love triangle and a romance, and apparently the fate of Wales depends on their quest. Next we have here is The River Has Teeth by Erica Waters. This book is about girls who go missing in the woods. One girl in particular, her name is Natasha, ends up losing her sister into the woods. So she's desperate to find her sister, so she turns to the one person she thinks who can help, which is Della, who is rumored to be a witch. Della decides to help her, but she has her own personal reasons why. The beast who is responsible for the missing girls could be her mother, who apparently turned into a monster after something terribly going wrong with magic. So they have no one else to trust but each other. Next here we have a manga called The Witch Hat of Adelir. That's volume 1. The author's name is Kamona Shirahama. I honestly don't remember what this one is about. I honestly picked it up because of one of my favorite YouTubers. If you have not checked Gavin by Gavin Reads It All, you're truly missing out. Next we have here is a nonfiction, The Bell Witch, an American Horror Story by Megan Cooley Peterson. I honestly don't know a lot about the Bell Witch, but she's definitely one of the most famous witches out there, that's for sure. Now for the adult category, here we have The Witch of Halloween House by Jeff DeGordick. Then the second book, The Witches of Halloween Haven. I read this book last year, and let me tell you, this book actually scared me. So this book is about an old witch who gets accused of stealing children. Villagers burn the witch's house with the witch inside. Before she dies, a curse on all of you. Now 3 years later, weird things start to happen to the kids in that town, and the only clue that is left is a gingerbread man on the windowsill. The story follows a sister, Carmen, and her little brother, and she has to unravel the mystery of what is happening to the town's kids, because something strange is happening to the adults, and she doesn't think they're the ones that are going to solve it. Next we have The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. So let me read you this little part of the book. The Near Witch is an old story told to frighten children. If the wind calls at night, you must not listen. The wind is lonely and is always looking for company. There are no strangers in the town of Near. So this is the bedtime story Lexi grew up with. And then she starts to see a mysterious stranger, a boy, who seems to vanish in the shadows. Now, the kids start to go missing in the town of Near, and in the village there are no strangers, so who is this new stranger, and does he have to do with the children's disappearances? Lexi might think this has something to do with the witch. I read this book about 2 years ago. I might have to reread it because I don't really remember what happens. I remember it being a good spooky read. Next we have here is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. So this book has a special place in my heart. I love it so much. Some people have mixed reviews about it, but honestly, if you want something super cozy, this is the book for you. So this book is about a girl named Annie. After being dumped by her boyfriend, she decides to move from the big city into a small town. there a lot of people are super friendly, but they warn her about this girl named Sophie. They just tell her to stay away from her because she's a witch. Meets her, she is immediately enraptured by her. She's beautiful, she's smart, she's super outgoing, and introduces magic and just a whole different new life for her. This book is not really a romance, it's more a book about friendship, and honestly, I freaking love Sophie. Sophie was such an amazing character. She was my favorite in this book, so again, highly recommend Cackle. Now here I have is Curse the Day by Annabelle Chase. This is a cozy mystery and this is the first book. This is about a girl who's a lawyer. As she is on her way to meet a client, she sees somebody standing on top of the cliff, and she thinks that he's about to jump off of it. So to try to stop him, she almost accidentally gets killed herself. She ends up being rescued by this stranger, and this stranger ended up being an angel. It turns out she ends up passing this border between the human world and the paranormal world, and it turns out she's a witch. Now, she has never known that she was a witch. She hasn't really heard much from her mom, so if she wants to, so apparently these paranormal creatures are trapped in this kind of bubble of this town, and so in order for her to fit in, she has to train to become a witch. So yeah, this is so I've read the first one and I loved it. She has like a whole series. This is the second book, The Doom and Broom. And then I just got the third book, Spells Bells, which is my next read. Next we have this beautiful book called Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. I just have to show you guys inside of it because look how stunning this is. Death touched, poison-eyed, witch kissed. Apparently Lady Macbeth is the villainous William Shakespeare story. Well, obviously it's about a witch. So this is her take on what happened, and she is finally given the power to voice what actually happened. I honestly can't tell you much about what happened in Macbeth because I read that book way back in high school. That was a while back. So, but still, I was immediately pulled by this cover. So, on to the next book. Next we have here is The Witches at the End of the World by Chelsea Iverson. So this story is actually located in Norway, and it's about two sisters who happen to have magic. So one sister wants to just be part of the community, and so she suppresses her magic, whereas the other sister just has so much magic that she just wants it to be unleashed. Things don't go well someday, and they ended up being driven by their village when their mother gets burned by being accused of being a witch. So one sister decides to go make a life for herself, while the other sister, the one with the magic powers, decides to stay back in the forest, and let's just say things don't go well for her. She ends up being left alone, and with feelings of betrayal, she casts a curse on anybody who hurt her. Little does she know that, and that ended up causing a deathly chains of events. And it ended up hurting her sister and the life that she worked so hard to build. But unfortunately, with a curse like this, there's no way you could take it back. So, sounds a lot like the practical magic curse. One that you can't take back. Next we have here is Hex by Thomas Old Huvelt. I honestly don't know much about this one, but apparently it's supposed to be super scary. It's about a witch who haunts. I'll leave you with whoever's born here is doomed to stay till death. Whoever settles never leaves. Dun, dun, dun. Next I have two classics that I wanted to share with you guys. One being The Blair Witch Project, compiled by D.A. Stern. So apparently there's like a complete series about the Blair Witch Project, but I just thought this was cool because this has like different sorts of media in it, and I just wanted to share with you guys. If some of you guys don't know what this is, the Blair Witch Project is basically about a group of teenagers who go to the forest to make a documentary about the Blair Witch. Though in the documentary, things start to go wrong. So yeah, I just thought you guys would enjoy this if you guys are a fan of the Blair Witch Project. Another classic is The Witch of Blackbird Pond by Elizabeth George Spear. So this classic is about a woman who moves to Connecticut in hopes to stay with a couple of relatives, though the people there are not so welcoming of her because of her strange attire and her weird customs. She befriends a woman who is accused of being a witch. Because of her friendship with this woman and for her strange ways, she's also accused of being a witch herself. Lastly, if you guys are interested in some nonfiction, here we have The Witches by Stacy Schiff. This is about the Salem witch trial. This is The Penguin Book of Witches by Katherine Howell, and I am like a little more halfway through it, and I started this in April, and honestly, it's kind of hard to read just because it is Old English all throughout it, and half of it is really hard to understand because these people just don't say what they mean. And lastly, I have here Cunning Folk, Life in the Era of Practical Magic by Tabitha Stanmore. Yeah, this just talks about the history of magic and how people thought of it throughout history. So yeah, those are a few nonfiction about witches. Then of course, I have to mention the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook. And here they have like a couple of good recipes that you can do with your kids. This is by Dina Buschholtz. And I figured witches would like to read books about the Herbal Handbook. This is a really nice and illustrated book about different kinds of herbs and what you can do with them and how you can cook with them and just different things and what they can do. And of course, a good witch will also own a couple books about mushrooms. This is a little book of mushrooms by Alex Dorr, illustrated by Sarah Richard. We got some stunning illustrations here. Here we have The Mycocultural Revolution by Peter McCoy. This is more just about exploring the world of mushrooms and mycology. Then we have this book of mushrooms by Liz O'Keefe. This one has actual pictures on how to identify mushrooms. Please note that a lot of mushrooms are poisonous, so unless if you know what you're doing, don't eat them, please. But they are really beautiful. And lastly, we have Mushrooming by Diane Borsato. And this is another beautiful illustrated one. Well, there you have it, folks. All of the book recommendations. If you had sit down and stayed with me throughout, thank you so much for watching. I will try to make a little like timeline to let you guys know which sections are like the children's and middle grade. That way, if you're not really interested in children's or let's say nonfiction, you could just skip through it. But anyways, next I will share some activities you can do with your family. Which is Week 1 activities. Wear a witchy outfit. Make a fake potion and write a spell. Make your favorite soup. We'll be making chicken noodle soup. Go to the apple orchard and bake treats with the apples you picked. Bake a witchy treat and watch your favorite witchy movie/TV show. Here are a list of movies. I categorized it from family and adult. Again, so this is mainly lists that I think would be appropriate for most kids, like Hocus Pocus 1 and 2, Kiki's Delivery Service, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the 1990s, of course. The newer ones are kind of creepy. The Witches, Halloween Town, Nightbooks 2021. I have not seen this one, but I heard this was a good movie. Then for adult, there is, of course, Practical Magic, The Witch 2015, the Blair Witch movies, Stardust, and of course, The Witcher. So yeah, Salem left of his mark there. So here are the activities for the week. Be sure to have fun and tag me on there, and yeah, I'd love to see what you guys come up with. So these are just ideas of what to do throughout that week, but honestly, you can do this throughout the month as well. I just thought it'd be fun to dedicate one specific week for each category. So here we have it. Be sure to have fun and like and subscribe. Follow my channel. Again, it's the Pumpkin Pages. I am also on Instagram. Look for me at the Pumpkin Pages. So my name is Elena. Please be sure to tag me and tag me with whatever outfits you guys come up with. Comment what kind of books you guys are interested in, and if you have any book recommendations for me. But yeah, I hope that you guys will like it. I hope your kids will like it, and I hope you and your family enjoys this challenge. So again, my name is Elena. Mom life. Again, my name is Elena. Thank you so much for watching.